All right, guys. Let me just show you some stuff here really quick before we kick off the show. This is my buddy Ricky Simon doing some sparring. All right, let's get you over to the next one. Just waiting for the room to fill up a little bit here. Boom. Right on, man. So hold on one second. Let me get us into the big screen. So hey everybody, what's going on? I'm here with my buddy Ricky Simon. He is a bona fide UFC fighter, and I'm also hopefully Brett Pike's going to join us later. And before I make the main intro, everybody, I want to make sure that Ricky on that bar up there on the right, there's a little thing that you can click, and that way you can see all the chats in the right. I don't know if you can see that on StreamYard, because right now I'm looking at all these different people in the sidebar. You can click on that to see them. It's like comments or something.
Yeah, I see them. I see them
now.
right
on. Okay, so everybody, Jeff, Copser 5150, Brick Jonesy, and Brett Pike just popped into the chat, and we're gonna get into Brett in just 1 second. But I just wanted to introduce. Hey, Brett, we're gonna pop you in 1 second, brother. I want to introduce you all to Ricky Simon. He is a bona fide UFC fighter, and these are all my friends in the sidebar, Ricky. And these people are all here to support us today because we're going to be talking about the government's war against males, basically, and how the government, with the welfare society, the welfare state, has been trying to destroy the image of men and trying to replace men with the government. And guys like Ricky and I, that doesn't fly with us, and it doesn't fly with guys like Brett Pike. Hey, Brett, good seeing you, man.
Hey, guys, how's it going?
Yeah, so Ricky, I want you to good. Ricky, I want you to introduce yourself to everybody and just say hi and tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
Yeah, hey, what's up, guys? Just clicking in the comments over here on the side. So what's up? I'm Ricky Simone. I'm a UFC fighter. I've been in the UFC since 2018. Been a professional fighter since I was 20 years old. I'm 32 now, so too long. But I've been following Michael and even Brett online. Love the information they put out. So I'm excited to jump in here and have a conversation with them.
Yeah, and sorry I called you Simon. I just figured it's Simon. It's Simone.
Oh yeah.
So don't put me in a rear naked over the internet, brother. I couldn't handle both for that shit. So guys, real quick, I want to tell you a little bit about what's going on with Brett. He's not going to be able to hang with us too long, but as most of you guys who've been following me for a while know, that I hold Brett in high esteem. He is an author and he is a philosopher of natural law theory. He's also a homesteader, and he has a series called Classical Learner where he teaches homeschooling, and he has a whole series about homeschooling. And he is the main guy that got me into building parallel systems. And he actually has a whole group of hundreds of thousands of people who follow him online over all the different platforms. And he helps parents and families get off the grid and get back to classical learning and off of this leftist, communist, Marxist run education system that we have. And so Brett, just real quick, tell my audience who maybe never seen you before a little bit about yourself and what you just went through with your surgery.
Yeah, no, I started a homeschool company a few years ago, and I run a publishing house, and that kind of was a product of my awakening. And I was in the school system to be a teacher. I didn't love what I saw, and I said, you know what, we can build something better. And I came across a lot of great educational philosophers like John Taylor Gatto and Dorothy Sayers, and one thing led to another, and I'm running the homeschool company now, and I just wanted to pop in to show you I support, but I am a little beat up here. I had surgery yesterday, so I'm not myself.
And then, so, you know, Brett, you were talking a little bit about somebody was giving you a hard time, right? About you being in the hospital and teaching your class from the hospital.
Well, no, when I had woken up, my stomach was in a lot of pain. And I pretty much knew that it was my appendix and I'd probably need surgery. But I teach a class every Wednesday on marketing for elementary school, middle school, and high school at 11 o'clock and 12:10. And to me, I mean, I understood the circumstances, I understood the risks, but I wanted to be there because my students expect me to be there every week at that time. And I have a responsibility and a duty to live up to that standard. And I think there's something missing in these modern men who would say, oh, no, you need to cancel class and go right to the hospital. Men could take risks. We used to like when they allowed hitting in the NFL, right? It's understood that when you're playing football, you're doing something dangerous. There's a lot of people with really dangerous jobs. And this notion that we should be coddled and safe all the time is really bad for our society and really bad for our children. So, got to show up.
That's right. And so, Brett, hopefully you can stick around for a little bit because I want to play this video and kind of let my audience know the kind of people that I like to hang out with and the kind of people that I like to support.
So I woke up this morning and I was in excruciating pain, and I pretty much knew it was my appendix and I was going to need surgery, but I didn't go right to the hospital because I had a class to teach, 2 classes at 11 o'clock and 12:10, and I could have canceled, but there was a lesson I had to teach my students, which is you always show up, that you got to be responsible and you got to be there. And you got to be someone that people know they could count on. And I did the class and my students, they had a great time. Our elementary students made lemonade stand posters, and our middle school and high school students made their own marketing videos. And they were so happy to show the work they did, and it was great work. And I was just happy to teach them not only the lesson of marketing, which I've been teaching, but to show them how much I cared. And I love what I do, and I'm very lucky to be able to do it. So I just had my surgery. I'm good. And I just thought it was an important life lesson, and I wanted to share it with them, and I wanted to share it with you.
Yeah, man. And that's what real men do, right? I mean, that's the whole point. That's real men. They stand tall for their friends and family, even if they're injured or they're sick. Right, Ricky? I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yep. You got to show up when you don't want to. That's important.
Got to show up when you don't want to. And so, guys, I met Ricky because on Instagram, it's when I was like self-censoring myself, waiting for Elon to free Twitter from the bondage of the communists. And so Ricky and I met, and it was like I started to do some of these pro Second Amendment videos before they started trying to ban me, right? And lo and behold, he was a supporter of Brett, and he was telling me how he likes the Second Amendment, Dick Heller, and Brett. And I was like, man, this is cool. You're a UFC fighter. We gotta do some videos together, and we got to get the message out about strong men and how important they are to families and to the women. Because, every woman out there who wants a family wants a man who's willing to take the leadership role, right? And go out there and support and provide so she can be able to be there and not have the state raise the kids. Is that a fair statement, guys?
Yeah, I definitely think so. And that's why I appreciate Brett's content, because I have a toddler and a newborn. So I'm starting to just think about what I'm going to do with my kids when it comes to schooling. And just seeing what's going on in public schools right now, it just does not seem that attractive to put them through that and let them be raised in that school system,
Well, Brett, I can tell you're getting ready to pass out on us, but I wanted to make sure that I can promote, Cubs to Bears, and then obviously offer Ricky some kind of a Team MPE discount, if you want to hook him up for it, because he's got the newborn. Hey, thanks. And Roger Lane, by the way, just hooked me up with a super chat, $20 super chat. That's going to help my son get his green belt in judo. Hopefully the sensei is going to promote him soon, guys. But as you can see, I'm trying to carry on that warrior tradition. So thank you, Roger Lane, for supporting Team MPE. So so Ricky, what do you think? Do you think you want to get your kids homeschooled and start them out on Brett Pike's Classical Learner program?
Yeah, it's definitely something I want to look more into. Like my daughter's just turning 2, and I have a newborn, so something I'm definitely considering. And like I said, I have a younger brother who's in high school and a sister who's in middle school, and I went to their parent-teacher conferences recently, and just was not really liking what I was seeing in their school. So something that I'm definitely considering with my wife, and yeah.
So, Ricky, were they burning American flags and waving the rainbow flags around, talking about how they hate white males and want to destroy America, or what was going on over there?
I was going to say, I definitely saw a lot more pride flags than I did American flags.
Wow. I mean, that's wild, right? I mean, Brett, what's that all about? Why aren't they what's the whole deal with the rainbow flags? Why are they trying to indoctrinate children into sexuality so much? What's your theory on that?
I mean, I think they're doing it intentionally. And, here's the thing. We could talk about what they're doing, and the way we really make change is we have to look at our own problems culturally. And, you can go back to the 1950s, and your great-grandparents were, telling your grandparents that they shouldn't be listening to Elvis and Marilyn Monroe, and these people became icons. It is the acceptance of all sexual perversion in our culture that eventually leads to, well, then gay people are getting married. And then, well, if gay people are getting married, why can't you teach it in school? And they teach it in schools. And the only way you run that back is you got to take the culture back. And that starts with the man in the mirror. But with that being said, I really am about to pass out. So
I got you, brother.
I'm going to jump out, but I just wanted to pop in and, let you know that I support you. And I really appreciate what you're doing in the culture war. So keep it up.
Thanks, man. Thanks for showing up, Brett. Everybody give me a bunch of ones for Brett, and I'm going to share some of his videos. We're going to talk a little bit about classical learning. God bless you, Brett. I pray that God keeps his mercy on you while you heal. Everybody give me a bunch of ones for Brett Pike. All right.
Happy healing, man.
Yeah, we'll see you soon. So, hey, I'm going to go ahead, Ricky, I'm going to play one of his other videos. I want my audience to kind of know a little bit about Brett and what he does, man.
Have you ever wondered why schools got rid of woodshop? Why they got rid of home ec? Well, it was because in 1983, the geniuses at the Department of Education released this report. And the Department of Education was founded in 1980, which means it only took the federal government 3 years to destroy the education system. The report concluded that American academic performance had been declining for the last 20 years because doing so allowed them to extend the school day, mandate certain subjects, and control schools with standardized testing. So in response to this pressure, schools abandoned woodshop. They abandoned home ec. But 7 years later, the Sandia report came out, which explained that back in 1960, only rich kids did standardized testing because other kids didn't plan to go to college. But by 1980, poor people and people of all demographics were taking these tests, which made the overall averages look like they were going down. But in reality, nearly every group was doing better across the board. And of course, we already know how things have gone since 1983. And this is why so many families are homeschooling, because 18-year-olds aren't graduating school with any skills at all. Because our students do carpentry, they learn engineering, do STEM projects, and learn to cook. I mean, look what they do in our live graphic design course. Elementary students, just look at these. One student made Sonic, and another a business card. She's a 14-year-old author. Go follow her and check out my private homeschool community and my books on the Bill of Rights, healthy living, and so much more. ClassicalLearner.com.
Yeah, and so Ricky, Brett's got and this dude's got his own farm. He's big time into homesteading, grows food that doesn't have all these chemicals sprayed on it. And Ricky, we're going to get into this chemical called atrazine that turns male frogs into females. Have you heard of that before?
Yeah, I remember seeing the clips of like Alex Jones talking about it going live, and then RFK talking about it as well. So RFK Jr. talking about it. So just
right on.
beyond them talking about it. Yeah.
So I got to ask you a question, brother. I'm trying to figure this out. Why do you think it is that fighters, people who are into martial arts and the traditional like judo, Muay Thai, why is it that they are so much more pro family and always looking at alternative news instead of like CNN and MSNBC and all that? Do you have any theories behind that?
I was really thinking about that today, because I've always been like more reserved and everything, but I've never been scared to like push back. And I didn't become a professional fighter because I like to be told what to do, you know. So, and then along with being an athlete, I had to like learn how to live a healthier lifestyle. And then I see what they're putting in the food and then the drinks and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, and I'm constantly reading labels, and then also having kids too. I'm like, oh, I don't put this in my own body. I'm not going to put it in my kid's body.
So did you notice that, like when you and your buddies started having kids, that your worldview started to change?
Oh yeah, definitely. Bit? Yeah, for sure. Cause then forces you to think about the future.
Right.
Go beyond yourself. Yeah.
I was talking with my wife about that the other day, how, having kids, it's like you see these single women, like these liberal women that like flag burners, and they're just so unhappy and miserable. And all they talk about is toxic masculinity, how they hate men. And I was just wondering, if there's something to that, maybe if they had a strong man like you, they might start thinking about the future, right?
Well, and the average American diet, you're seeing how people are feeding themselves. And I thought I heard the other day that like 70% of military age men wouldn't be able to join because they wouldn't be able to pass the physical requirements, which is just ridiculous. And especially being a dad, I'm like, I want to be able to carry both my kids. I like carrying them both around and lugging them up, and like I want them to be like, oh, I go on runs with my daughter all the time. She's always yelling at me fast. I want to be a capable dad,
Yeah.
And everything that they're putting in, in the foods and the drink. I mean, I feel like it's like it ultimately lowers their the men's testosterone, and it has, big effects on their body and their mind as well.
That's right. That's right. We got Ghost Man saying discipline here in the sidebar. So discipline's got a lot to do with it, right? I mean, that's the deal. To get up every morning and put in the work, you got to be disciplined. And then we have What's the Matter You? He's saying there's corn syrup and everything. Yeah, how does that work out for you? Because I noticed that in the off season you put on quite a bit of weight. Are you hitting the corn syrup? How are you putting on all that weight?
Well, I mean, I fight at 135 pounds, so it's easy to put on the weight. I just eat more food. Like my portions are much bigger. So instead of, they tell me 4 to 6 ounces of of protein, and I'm like, I want to eat this 12 or 24 ounce ribeye. I don't want to, so it's easy for me to put on the weight. But yeah, I think I mostly, I mean, I got away from all like kinds of like corn syrups. I mostly eat like, I cook with like butter, I mean olive oil and like ghee. That's like the main things we cook at my house.
Yeah, Brick Jonesy says, as the people build, the government tears down. And so how do you feel about that? I kind of feel that that's what's going on, right?
Yeah, I was really thinking today, especially since we're gonna have this conversation, like why would they want men to be less masculine, And I was really putting some thought into it, and it just seems like, if the men aren't pursuing their masculine role, it's just they're not really going to speak up. They're not going to fight back, and they're going to just stand in line. And I think that's ultimately what they want.
You think that it's a way to control us? If there's not as many strong men, it's easier for the government to control.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I've heard Dana White make similar statements. He's like really not happy with what's going on with like CNN and PMS, NBC, and all these lefties like constantly talking trash on men, especially white men. It was like they hate white men, whatever that is, right?
Yeah. It's nice to have a fight for the UFC and have to see him, the president of the UFC, speak out like that, because I feel like a lot of people are scared to speak out, and I feel comfortable posting stuff, and it might put like a sponsorship, make someone not want to work with me or whatever. But ultimately, I'm not like trying to feel hate. You know, I'm trying to make people be better. I want to be better for the community. I want to be a better man. I want to be a better dad. So, you know, I think if people are trying to control us, I feel like ultimately I'm gonna push back against that. And
Yeah.
I get people messaging me all the time like, oh, I agree with you. I wish I could, you know, I wish I could say something too. And I'm just like, well, I really try to, maybe I just live my own like the chamber where I'm just like, you know, I've been a professional fighter for so long. I don't feel bad for speaking out, and I'm not in a, I guess, a professional setting, but I know they're scared to be ostracized and within their social groups, or maybe even like lose their job, you know, because of something they post on social media.
You're right, bro. And that's why I'm a proponent of creating your own parallel systems. Cause like I call my guys in my sidebar team MPE, right? And, you know, you come on the show more and these people are going to get to know you. And now, you know, when you're ready to start coaching, you've got an audience right here where you could do an online coaching course and you'll have plenty of work. But if we participate in that, you know, target, you know, where they're trying to tell little boys that they're girls, little girls that they're boys, and selling all this demonic shit stuff to kids, you're going to be ostracized by those people, right? But if we form our own parallel systems of people who think like us, we don't need Target. We don't need to shop at these places. We don't need to deal with any of those people. We'll create our own market of free thinkers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But so I never really know how to respond to those people who tell me that too. Cause I'm like, I mean, most of the people who will say I respect them, you know, and I'm like, oh, you know, I know them at some level, but I'm like, I wish they would speak out. You know, I wish they wouldn't be scared to speak out. And you know, I know like they're scared to, like I said, like lose their job or something like that. But is that common? Do you think, is that common? I mean, you're a lawyer,
brother. I think it's super common. I think that so many men have become weaklings and they just listen to whatever the liberal women tell them because they're so terrified they're going to be accused of being a toxically masculine or whatever. But I find, it's just me, and I think most of the people in my channel feel the same way, that most women I run into, they're screaming, they're thirsting for a strong male leadership. They want that. You know, I know kids want that. I know my daughter wants a strong father. She doesn't want some weakling who's gonna bow down to whatever, you know, some politician says. So yeah, but I'm with you. I think that the media and the school system, especially these colleges, you know, they just brainwash people into hating white people, in particular white males, and then males in general, but especially white males. Like, we're at the top of the list of public enemy number one because we have light skin, and which really pisses me off, you know, because, like, you know, I'm in an interracial marriage, so, you know, my kids are part white, part Salvadorian. And so, you know, when my kids were at the regular school and then coming back saying, you know, how they're told that their father is an oppressor, I mean, that just makes my blood boil, because, you know, you got your kids hating, you're being taught to hate their own parents, right? And you're part Latino too, or something, right?
Yeah, my dad's actually was born in Mexico, so wow. I am half. So, you know, I definitely see that being pushed as well, and it's funny because, like, whenever I get like some kind of like messages online, it's always, I get so confused because usually like white men who are like getting mad at me for like sharing this stuff.
Yeah, it's usually like they're like weaklings, because white guys in particular, you know, are being trained to hate their own race and to hate who they are, because you're part of the patriarchy or whatever. But it's just like communism repackaged. That's all it is. It's, you know, people who hate America trying to teach you to hate yourself. And I think most of the people on my show, they don't feel that way. And so, you know, Ricky, what I got going on for me is, like, I've got guys like Brick Jonesy and Qualified Immunity over here, like guys who, I got liberals, I got conservatives, you know, everybody, but we all have one thing in common, and we believe in natural law. We believe that all of our rights come from an all-powerful creator, not from the government. So that's the first thing. And so what I'm thinking is that the government, like the people in power now, especially, they hate God big time, because God is they're competing with God, basically, because they want to be God. You know what I'm saying? Like, because if they can get rid of the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights, well, then they'll have total power. So if they can convince everybody in the world that Thomas Jefferson was evil and George Washington was evil because, you know, they had slaves like everybody did back then, right? Then they'll be able to, it'll be, the next step will be easy. Start taking down their statues and then say, you know what, if all those people are bad, probably everything they thought was bad too. So we need to get rid of the First Amendment, right? You know, we need to get rid of the Second Amendment. We don't need that because that's just misogynist. That's toxically masculine, right?
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like we keep heading that way with the newspeak, the misinformation, the malinformation, and then you're seeing like the red flag laws, the gun buybacks, the mandatory gun buybacks, and then it's like, oh, I don't know. I'm seeing more and more of it. I'm like, I feel like that's, if you get rid of, the freedom of speech and the right to bear arms, I mean, where are we headed after that? We can't say what we want. We can't defend what we say.
Yeah, exactly. And so we know that was the first thing that they don't even teach this in public school anymore. But when I was growing up, they did teach it, that the very first act of the British was to try to seize our guns. They wanted to seize our powder houses where our gunpowder was stored. That was the very first thing. That's what sparked off the Revolutionary War. It wasn't dumping tea into the harbor. That's one of the reasons why they dumped the tea into the harbor, but trying to take away their guns. And we know that the government, the people who hate us in government, like the current administration in particular, and Tampon Tim and Camel Toe, they don't want us to have guns, bro. Right? They don't want us to have guns, and you hear Sleepy Joe talking about how are you going to fight an F-16 or tanks? And I'm scratching my head. This guy just surrendered to the Taliban, right? And all they had was some old beat up AK-47s. So, right. So, that they know that we could be dangerous if we're armed, right, man?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, and that, it doesn't make sense to me, especially as a fighter. It's like, oh, you're outmatched, so just give up.
Yeah,
that's what
yes.
I'm like,
Give me a bunch of ones, man. Give me some ones in the sidebar. Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
That you just nailed it. What you just said, you just nailed it. They're basically saying you're going to lose anyway, so just give up.
Yeah.
Dude, I got to make a T-shirt that says that.
But I honestly, like, I get inspired even with, I have a brother who's a junior in high school, and I feel like all the stuff being pushed on them, they're actually like, they're starting to push back. A lot of the kids they're tired of it, and there are a strong group of young men and women who don't want this tyranny, and they don't want to be told what to do by the government, and they don't want their rights taken away. And they're listening, and I'm hoping that they stay involved. But I know I've had these conversations with my little brother for a long time, so I don't know, maybe I'm just a little biased with him and his group, but I really hope that this is what's happening is that they're starting to push back. But I know that a lot of them are indoctrinated in their school system. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. When you have one, and I think like Brick Jonesy and Brett in the sidebar and Ghost Man and What's the Matter You, Rami, I think you guys all agree that when a strong man enters the room, it sucks out all the oxygen from that room, and that people will rally around that man. And they, all of a sudden, their fear starts to dissipate. And that's why I believe that the government hates strong, masculine men. Give me a bunch of ones in the sidebar if you all agree. And Brett Ray just hooked me up with 5. So Brett, just so you know how this works, brother, Brett Ray always hooks me up to, I think Brett's a dude, but gifts, memberships. I paid members, and they get private first class chevrons because I'm a Marine, so I want to hook them up with the PFC chevrons. But then Brett donates them to people who join my show. So because I share the good news in the back channel, stuff that I can't really share in the front channel. And so I just, so you know how this works. So when we have you on and we start building your channel, we'll start building Team Simone. You know what I'm saying? But the idea is one guy like me, and I'm nowhere near as tough as you, bro, but I preach the same ideas that you preach, which is you got to be strong. You have to keep your word. You have to be a man of honor. And the ladies that are on my channel, and we don't have that many, unfortunately, because the government has basically taught women that they have to be like men. It's not enough to be to be equal in their own way in the eyes of the Lord. They have to be men in order to be equal. And so, I get a lot of pushback, from like the feminazis, right? That's what Rush Limbaugh used to call them, the feminazis. And then, and look, Bill Roberts, man. Bill Roberts just hooked me up with $10. So that's my kid's brown belt someday. So it looks like I got enough money for a green belt, and I got enough maybe for a brown belt, depending on inflation. So, and so the way it works for me, brother, is my wife doesn't like it that I do these shows because I could be with my son Gunnar at judo right now. But I do these shows because I've got her to take him, and I'm saying, babe, don't worry, I'm going to get some super chats and someone's going to buy my book, and it'll make up for it because I'm doing God's work by teaching people that they can be strong. Because I'm being that strong example of a man, it motivates these people who might otherwise be scared. And we're strong as a group. You know what I'm saying? Like when we come together as a group, we find strength and solace amongst each other. It even says in the Bible, where two or more are gathering in his name, the Lord is present. You know what I'm saying? Like that's real, man.
Yeah. And anytime I see somebody someone like a good leader, it makes me want to be better as well. Anytime I see someone doing the right things and being like I said, a great leader, it makes me want to like raise my game. And I really like what you're talking about is like aligning yourself with like-minded people who are going to keep doing that.
Parallel systems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I want to get you and other UFC brothers to come on here. I had one of my buddies who's a Navy SEAL come on a couple weeks ago. He's a Navy corpsman who became a SEAL later, combat corpsman. So he worked with us Marines, and we love our corpsmen. We'll kill for our corpsmen. Like we go out and party in Oceanside, and someone messes with our Navy corpsman, every single Marine is going to rat pack that dude for messing with our corpsmen. But this guy ended up becoming a Navy SEAL. And so, we look up to Navy SEALs, especially in the Marine Corps, because it's all about being toxically masculine. And we know that SEALs are the shit, even though we hate them for stealing our chicks. But
yeah, I always wish I was in the military, because I've been a professional fighter, since I was, 20 years old. But my older brother was a Marine. My best friend was a Marine. My cousin was a Marine. I was like, I always wish I was tough enough to go, but my brother's like, keep fighting, keep doing that. I think you're going to do great. So, but I have a hole in my heart. I wish I was a badass.
Well, you are a badass. The difference between, and I know from being a fighter myself, obviously not at your level, but being in the Marine Corps in particular, it teaches you how to fight as a unit. And then being a fighter, like a judoka or a wrestler, it's more the one-on-one thing, and you need to be able to do both. But I definitely find that being a Marine has helped me be a better leader of men. And I think that's one of the reasons why. Yeah, Brick Jones either asked me if I need a ride, making fun of the Navy. Because the Navy, that's our taxi service, right? So people always say Marines are a department of the Navy. And I go, yeah, the men's department. So anyway, so look, man, there's so many things I want to talk to you about, but part of my show is also doing like these reaction videos. So let's just do this one because we were talking about it. We were talking about Kennedy, who I like Kennedy a lot, man. And Kennedy does personal injury law, and he's held these pharmaceutical companies to account, suing them and stuff. And unfortunately, we can't say anything negative about pharma on YouTube because they basically are on the hip pocket of the World Health Organization. So, and their whole philosophy is if we can pay off enough scientists to agree with us, right, then only those opinions matter. But every other doctor and scientist who disagrees, that's misinformation and disinformation. But we're going to share something that even the European scientists agree with really quick. We're going to learn a little bit about atrazine and a reason why maybe men are becoming more feminine, especially in the United States. So let's get into it.
Kids are being overwhelmed by a tsunami. I mean, they're swimming through a soup of toxic chemicals today, and many of those are endocrine disruptors. There's atrazine throughout our water supply. Atrazine, by the way, if you in a lab put atrazine in a tank full of frogs, it will chemically castrate and forcibly feminize every frog in there, and 10% of the frogs, the male frogs, will turn into fully viable females able to produce viable eggs.
I mean, that's wild, right, bro? I mean, that's insane.
kids are being.
Yeah,
that's just crazy to me. I mean, they literally have chemical, and we know that like the liberals, right? They want to feminize men, right? So why wouldn't they want to have all the little boys getting feminized? We know they're doing it right now with the whole trans movement, right? They're trying to get them to do the hormone replacement, like have little girls take male testosterone and little boys take estrogen. How do you feel about that, dude?
Well, I definitely don't agree with it. I definitely don't agree with it because I don't think a young kid can consent to any kind of like anything to do with really sex, before they're of age, really, before they even hit puberty or anything. They don't know, they don't know the outcomes later on in life. I've listened to a lot of interviews with, I don't know if you've heard of Billboard Chris, and he goes out and has conversations with people. And there's a lot of like even detransitioners who come on. They're like, I never knew that I wouldn't be able to, have an orgasm or be able to give birth or be able to breastfeed or all these things that they could never have consented to when they were just a young kid.
That's wild.
So, and then on the other, on this, cause I'm always looking at things from like, the athletic perspective, I don't agree with, because I have a little sister, that, she's in 8th grade. I don't agree with, boys being able to play in girls sports, and you're seeing a lot of injuries. You're seeing a lot of injuries come from that as well. And it seems unfair, taking opportunities away from young women. And even, I think our sport, the sport I participate in, is like one of the most brutal. And now you have men who are going and fighting women, and it's happened in a few instances. And I've even spoke out against one in particular that this guy fought this, and I think it was like an ex-ranger decided he wanted to be a girl and fought a biological girl and broke her nose, orbital, ribs, and won the fight. But I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand why we're promoting that or putting that on, and I don't think that's fair.
Dude, so, what? I mean, it's like something out of like a dystopian George Orwell novel or some shit. It's just wild to me. I mean, if you got a daughter, would you want her in there like fighting some dude who thinks he's a chick?
No way. I wouldn't allow it. That's for sure.
Yeah. But if you say that, to the wrong person, you could be called a racist, bigot, and a homophobe, right? That's what they label you as.
Yeah. And I mean, I live in Washington State, and I'm like right on the border of Oregon. Like, I train in Portland as well. So I mean, I'm hearing a lot of this happening, even just in high school, in sports like volleyball and track. And I'm always just wondering, like, where are these people's dads? Where are the dads, and why are they allowing this to happen? I mean, I'm sorry, you're not participating in this. That would be my outlook.
Exactly. Like, what kind of a weakling would let his daughter share a bathroom with a dude?
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell is that? Like letting men, like these perverted dudes, coming into the bathroom and sharing them with girls, and people like Tampon Tim, they're putting tampon dispensers in the male restroom, like promoting it like it's a good thing, dude.
Yeah, and that's real. His wife was just talking about that. Tim Walt's wife was just talking about promoting putting tampons in boys' bathrooms. So it's not like people say it's not happening. People try to tell me that it's not happening, and so, but I'm like, I'm watching like school board meetings. I'm watching parents speak out against what's happening, the content that's in books and available to their kids in middle school, and in high school.
Porno.
Yeah. Like, and it doesn't make sense to me. And they try to brush it off and say it's not happening. And a lot of the people who are coming after me and saying that don't even have kids. They're men with profile pictures with their cats. I'm like,
yeah, and they probably have other kind of pictures on their laptops with little kids, probably too, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't leave them alone with my kids, that's for sure.
Exactly. I mean, give me a bunch of ones, guys, if you would let some dude who dresses like a chick who wants to share the restroom with little girls. Give me a bunch of ones if you would allow them to babysit your kids, and give me a bunch of twos if you would not allow them to babysit your kids. Let's do a little poll, Ricky, and see what our audience has to say about that. Because I'm of the mind that the vast majority of people don't support this. I'm of the mind that there's a couple really perverted billionaires and they fund all these politicians. And that's the reason why the politicians are supporting this, because they're just being paid off by a bunch of billionaires. Let's see what, so far I'm getting 2s. So there you go. I mean, peer pressure in the opposite direction, right, Ricky? Like we know that if one of these tampon dispenser dudes came on my show, they probably wouldn't even dare put a 1 because they would be embarrassed, because the vast majority of people don't support it. But before Elon Musk came in with Twitter, that's all you saw, like CNN, PMSNBC, all the communist run news stations, all social media. They promote it and they march in lockstep. So it looks like people actually support it. But in reality, the vast majority of people do not support it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And mainstream media has definitely lost its credibility. I think I was just hearing the other day that only like 30% of people still like are believing what the mainstream media is putting off. And you can just go to their views, their viewership. It's not even comparable when they're getting anywhere from 50,000 to 200,000 views. And Joe Rogan puts out a podcast where Trump gets 20 million in the first 20 hours. You know, it's not comparable. Exactly. And I think that people are definitely, they've woken up to it.
Dude, this show that we're doing tonight, I predict it's going to get more views than a typical CNN show that goes out nationwide. I mean, some of these shows are getting 50,000, 150,000 views. You know,
let's go. Nice.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. Yeah, I want to do this next video because my audience is so used to seeing videos, and this is a good one because it plays right into what's going on, how they're poisoning our kids and destroying their testosterone.
These are both males. The one on the bottom, acting as the female, we affectionately refer to as Darnell. He's a genetic male that not only acts like a female, he lays eggs like a female. She has been exposed to atrazine all of her life. I don't even really know how to reference it. This is Darnell's third clutch. So Darnell has sons and daughters that we've grown up. You can see eggs in the bottom. This is actually her second clutch for today. She has been copulating for getting close to 24 hours now. This is probably one of the most remarkable things I've seen in my work. But I personally have mixed emotions. I'm very excited about the science and trying to understand the mechanism. But on the other hand, I am worried. This is the most common contaminant in ground and surface water and drinking water. And the level of atrazine that it took to make this male turn into a female is 3 times less than what's allowed. These are both males. The one on the bottom, acting as the female, we affectionately refer to as Darnell.
Hold on a minute. So did you catch that, bro? 3 times less than what's in our water supply for humans.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm like, when I hear that stuff, I'm like, I hooked up like a reverse osmosis water, like filtration system at my house. And I'm like, is this helping? Like, I'm like testing it and stuff. I'm like,
dude, you know what? Okay.
Worried.
Dude, you and I should come up with something like the Ricky Simone water filter system, because you got more street cred than me. I was looking online to see if there's a filtration system that gets rid of atrazine, and I haven't been able to find anything. I found one that helps get rid of fluoride. By the way, the government just admitted that fluoride's a toxic chemical, and I haven't been using fluoride in my toothpaste since I was about 13, because I used to hang out in the library, and I read that it was toxic, and I couldn't understand why the hell is our government allowing these chemicals into our food. But then when you see what's going on, like the grand scheme, like the politicians, dude, they're trying to feminize men, and they want us as stupid as possible. I mean, look at the public school system, dude. They constantly are lowering the test scores, getting rid of math, getting rid of classical education, getting rid of cursive writing. I mean, just making the kids stupid. But yet all these teachers complain that they don't get enough money. I mean, how do you feel about that? Do you think there's something more to it?
I think just like what we've been talking about is when you feminize men and you have this kind of control, everyone's just going to stand in line and not push back against. I mean, we just lived through like the COVID period and the mandates, and then, I don't know, like I'm really hoping, with this election, everything, the tides start to turn and everything. But ultimately, I'm just hoping, that everyone's kind of woken up to that and ready to push back, because they definitely didn't in my area during COVID.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's really no strong men out there anymore, and when you do have a strong male leader, they try to assassinate him, right? I mean, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's crazy to live through that right now, and it's barely being talked about.
Barely, yeah, because if it was Obama, that's all you'd see is how we need to ban firearms, we need to ban AR-15s, and every single day it's racist and misogynistic to own firearms if they would have done it to Obama. But because it was Trump, it's just buried. You don't even hear about it.
Yep. So interesting. Yeah. I'm excited to see what's happening. I feel like I'm at what point am I like too like it? Like I was trying to like arm myself with information as well. Like watching your videos and trying to stay on top of what's going on. But as sometimes I'm like, at what point am I just being like, am I in this too much?
No, you're not. And you have to be active. Look, I'm not a Bible beater, but I love Psalms and Proverbs, man. And I love the 10 Commandments. And it says in the Bible, you're supposed to be like salt of the earth. A real man is like salt of the earth. And real men, when you have a brother who's stumbling, you go after him, you criticize him. I had a buddy who did a police reaction video, and I was kind of getting on him, because he talked to the cops. I was like, no, he shouldn't talk to cops. But, but I'm also real careful because I don't want to like alienate myself either. But, if you're a true brother, you're not going to let your brother stumble, and you're going to risk it a little bit because you want to help him. You want to help him get better. So, it's like iron sharpening iron, right? Like when you see me stumble, Ricky, when I'm out doing some jits or I'm doing some newaza on the mats, and you see me doing a wrong move, you're not going to sit there and let me keep making the wrong move. You're going to yell at me and tell me, what the hell are you doing? What's wrong with you, bro? You need to improve that. Your arm's in the wrong position or your hips in the wrong spot. You got, that's what we do as real brothers. And right. Isn't that right?
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Now hold on. I've got some comments here. The Cult of Odin. I love that name. Sounds like a UFC kind of guy, right? Cult of Odin says fluoride isn't the problem itself. The type of it is. Calcium fluoride is amazing for teeth. Any sodium fluoride is the issue. Well, Cult of Odin, I want to see some sources on that. And I'm curious, why is it that it says on all the toothpaste bottles that this stuff is toxic? Right on the toothpaste thing, it says this is toxic, right? Don't eat this. It's toxic. And I'm thinking to myself, why the hell would I want to let my kids use this shit to brush their teeth? If it says toxic, and your skin is like a permeable membrane, right? Like, it goes through, you can get into your gums. So I don't know. I want to know more about that. And What's the Matter You says the tide isn't going to turn with this election. He's saying that Trump is the self-professed father of vax. And, Ricky, I got to tell you, I'm not happy about that. That really pisses me off that, because it's, first of all, I can't say what it really is, but mRNA does not meet the traditional definitions. We'll just leave it at that. Mm-hmm. And again, this is just a reaction video. This is all you guys, the thought police over at YouTube. I'm not saying anything unscientific. I'm just repeating what someone else said. So please don't take down my channel for just repeating something that another scientist actually said. But he's saying that, $6 trillion giveaway to big. Yeah, and he's right. So one of my good friends, Ricky, not really a good friend, but one of the best trial attorneys ever that I've ever met in the world, Michael Hughes. I met him when he was arguing the case against Philip Morris at the California Court of Appeal at the Ronald Reagan Courthouse. This was just before he passed away from cancer. He got like a $28 billion verdict against the tobacco companies for lying about the health effects of cigarettes, saying that cigarettes were actually healthy. And the way they did it is they paid off doctors and scientists. Sound familiar? Pay some doctors or scientists to say what you want them to say. Mm-hmm. And I asked him, what is your biggest, who do you think the biggest threat is right now from a personal injury lawyer's perspective? And he said, without a doubt, the pharmaceutical companies are the enemy of the American people. And I fear them more than anything. He said, they're like the tobacco companies on steroids because they're immune from being sued. They're literally immune from being sued. You can't sue them unless you can prove fraud. And proving fraud is almost impossible. I'm telling you that as a lawyer. Proving fraud and intentional acts, especially when They're going to hide behind claims of trade secrets and patent law, and they have billions of dollars because they don't get sued. So they have a huge war chest that they can spend. That's the difference. Most corporations, they have to set aside money in anticipation of lawsuits, like Apple phones, right? They've got to, some of those phones could explode and they get sued or whatever it might be. But these big companies like the pharma companies don't have to set aside money for risk mitigation. So they just have unlimited funds to sponsor things like the Grammy Awards, right? I mean, do you see that where it said Pfizer sponsoring the Grammys, right? It was like, what the hell, dude? It's just blowing my mind.
That's definitely one thing that with Trump that I'm always unhappy about as well, when he's, bragging about, pushing the vaccine early on. But I what I'm hoping is that he's talking about bringing RFK in, and hopefully he helps make a change on that side, because he's been outspoken on that side for a while, on that front for a while.
Yeah, I really like him too. I used to be a Democrat. I consider myself to be a recovering Democrat, but I'm more of a libertarian now, because back in the day, the Democrat Party, they were like hippies. They were into like natural healing, vitamins, hemp oils, against anything the government wanted. They were pretty much against it. They were against the military industrial complex. And now it's all about funding endless wars, and they're all like pro-war, and it's just weird. It's weird, right?
Yeah. And it seems like against freedom of speech. Like, it seems like a lot of stuff that they once stood for, they're almost flip-flopping.
Yeah. It's like they're not even the same party. Like, they sold out to the big companies and stuff, like, remember when they sued Bill Gates for them? I don't know if you remember, you're kind of young, but Microsoft, they sued him for a monopoly. And then all of a sudden, Bill Gates started donating billions of dollars to Democrats, right? It's kind of smart, right? And now they're supporting him when before they were against him. So, a little bit of cash, I guess it changes the way people feel in politics, right? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. But I got this other cool video I want to show you guys. This is going to kind of blow your mind. This gets us back on track about the war against men.
What's traditionally masculine or feminine doesn't work in today's society.
You think that society needs strong men?
Women can be strong too. But
talking about women, does society need strong men?
I would only say certain jobs.
Do we not need men to protect us?
I don't think we need men to protect people in particular, because I don't really believe on the implications of social gender.
What about building the roads and going to war and, and sewage jobs and construction? Don't we need men for certain things?
We need just bodies for a lot of things. What people call manpower is just body power. And guess what? Women have bodies too.
What's traditionally masculine.
All right.
Or feminine,
what do you think about
work
that? You agree with what she said? Yeah. Any comments on that, man?
She was saying like body power, but when you look at like the percentage of women who go out for certain jobs, it's and men too, and there's certain jobs that each are attracted to, and there's a reason why there's not a bunch of women construction workers.
Why do you think that is? Is it maybe because they might break a nail, or is it because they're just physically not as strong as men?
Yeah, it's hard work. It's hard. I work construction like all throughout when I was trying to make it to the UFC. My body was beat up. I was working long days, and I was always sore, even more than practice probably.
Yeah. Yep. I remember those days.
Mm-hmm.
I worked construction all my life up until I became a lawyer. It's
not easy work. It's not easy work.
It's not. And, like my wife wanted to try out to be like a prison guard, and they had a rule that you have to do 20 push-ups. Well, there was not one single female who could do 20 push-ups. So, I mean, is it fair to say that there's difference in body strength, especially upper body strength, or is that like a racist or homophobic thing to say?
You'll definitely get in trouble for saying it, but I mean, it's true. I mean, men are usually stronger, and I think they usually say because more testosterone, more muscle, bone density. There's a lot of factors, but yeah, I would say like I've trained with some great female athletes, some girls who were ranked in the world, and but it's still not comparable. It's still not comparable to the men that I have trained with who are, in those similar situations, similar positions.
Yeah, bro. Like I've sparred with some female judokas who are like brown belts and black belts. And, like just because they've got better, they're just more skilled than me. They can wipe the mat with me. But like, even in like Newaza, like on the mats, like just my body strength is so much more powerful than theirs that they have a hard time against me. And I'm nowhere near as skilled as them, but it's just, just the overall strength, it's hard for them. Yeah. It's true that skill can overpower strength. You know that from being a fighter, but like, it's kind of like akin to putting a heavyweight boxer like Mike Tyson in against a guy like you and try to do a boxing match.
Oh, but if it was jiu-jitsu, I would choke him out. I would choke
absolutely. Him out. No, I'm with you. I 1000%, brother. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
wouldn't box him though. Wouldn't box him.
Yeah, like a featherweight against a heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Don't bring out the fighter in me, Michael. Don't bring out the
fighter in me. Yeah, you're ready to take out Mike Tyson, brother. Hey, Mike, it's all good, man. We love you, bro. Don't come on my show and get crazy. Don't worry, there's no P. Diddy coming on the couch with you. None of that on my show. Yeah, so what's the matter? You says men's bone and therefore muscle density is not comparable to massively weaker females. It's like the difference between chimps and humans. And Give Life a Shot says Mike has a big neck. I think he's talking about Mike Tyson. I guess he's saying good luck choking him out, brother. Yeah. I don't know, man. These guys obviously have it. Say it, man. Say it, Ricky. Tell it.
I've been punching the head too many times. I'm like talking and trying to read these at the same time.
I don't know. I think Mike does have a big neck, but I think a guy like Ricky with his skills could definitely choke him out.
Yeah. Well,
Mike knows that, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, or else he would have been, I always talk crap to boxers. I think boxing is great, but I say real fighting because MMA, you're doing everything: grappling, kicking, punching, elbowing, knee, you got everything. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. It's more like real fighting. And that's what drew me to the UFC. Like I was doing judo and then kickboxing. I started doing kickboxing and because I was a real fan of Bruce Lee. Back when I was growing up, Bruce Lee was it. There was nothing else out there but Bruce Lee. And he always talked about, mixing it up, being able to grapple. He even was a proponent of fencing. I don't know if you guys know this, but his brother was a world-class fencer. And if you look at some of Bruce Lee's moves, he incorporated fencing moves into his fighting techniques. You'll see it when he kind of, yeah, man, when he gets in,
like a footwork thing. Is that like a footwork and like,
yeah, when he shoots, when he shoots, he does a lot of fencing maneuvers. Take a look. There's some videos about it on YouTube, brother. But yeah, his brother was a big time fencer and Bruce Lee was good at fencing. And he even incorporated fencing moves into his fighting. And it makes sense when you watch him and a little bit about fencing and you watch him fight, you'll see the fencing. It's like, wow, I never knew that until someone told me. But yeah, he was a proponent of taking what's good from each art and incorporating it into what's good for you. And to never just like love one art, but try to mix it up. And a lot of people say that Bruce Lee was the father of mixed martial arts. You agree with that, right? I mean, that's pretty well known.
Yeah, I think I definitely. I grew up watching Bruce Lee. My dad was a big fan. I do sometimes think a little bit more like there's a big like acting part of it, For me, like it's like early on, like 1995, like early like UFC days, like the Gracies, Hoist Gracie, showing that a smaller man with great jiu-jitsu can choke out or break an arm of like a much larger opponent.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I always liked the Gracies, but I was always kind of pissed off, because I was in judo since I was 6, and BJJ basically just judo. It's an acronym, basically just judo. It's Newaza. It's judo ground fighting, and I know you're into wrestling, and so you understand like the concept that all fights are going to start standing pretty much. And they're going to end up going to the ground. And so I never could understand like why the Gracies weren't doing more stand up. They were just more about getting on their butt, crawling in and trying to wrap them up. But
Oh, I hate that.
Right?
Yeah, I'm an American wrestler. I started wrestling at a young age, so I love picking people up and slamming them. It's my favorite thing to do. Watching Matt Hughes do that back in the day. But I always hate, like, even in practice, someone will sit on their butt and scoot towards me. I'm like, ugh. It's like, you have to go home to your wife. Don't be sitting on your butt like that. How are you throwing your legs up?
This is so badass, man. Guys, give me a bunch of ones for Ricky. I'm so glad we had him on tonight.
Yeah,
so look, we're going to go into the next video now, Ricky. We're going to get back into the toxic anti-male garbage that's out there and listen to what's happening all around the world, the war against men.
Today, we're announcing a new $4.7 billion has been established for gender-based violence and frontline legal services through new agreements between the Commonwealth and the states and territories. Just in front of you. Yeah. No, I'm deliberately going to women before blokes.
Blokes.
Prime Minister,
right?
you've spoken.
Today, we're announcing a new $4.7 billion has been established.
All right, you kind of got it. Like gender-based violence and all this stuff. It's like everything to these guys is about divide and conquer, right? Like it's all about like anti-male. Let's do this other one. This is crazy. This is like some super popular show on social media. Let's listen to what this crazy woman's got to say.
I think that men are valuable in the sense that they provide. That's about it. I feel like that goes for kind of, yeah. I would say in my world with men, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Do you have any brothers?
I do have a brother. I have an older brother, yeah.
Do you hate him?
No.
Is his only worth to provide for you?
No, he doesn't provide for me. He's my brother. I love him.
So he has worth outside of providing for you?
Yeah, he's my brother. I love him.
What about your father? Same thing?
He's my father.
So just every other man except your immediate family, they're not valuable unless they're providing for you?
They're not valuable until they prove to me that they're valuable.
By providing for you?
Sure, it could be providing for me, yeah.
What are the other ways they can prove it?
No, actually, I think it's just providing. You're right.
All right. So, that's, well, it's kind of her to identify herself. And then the other day we saw this, Ricky, there was this white liberal woman who was screaming at the little baby. So, see the guy next to her? That's the father.
Mm-hmm.
And this white liberal woman is upset because I guess he supports traditional family values. So her response is to scream and yell at his little girl. And of course, there's a little meme that says 56% of young liberal white women have been diagnosed with a mental disorder, according to a Pew study. So what do you think? Do you think it could just be that they're suffering from some kind of a mental illness that they act this way?
Yeah, some kind of social contagion for sure. I don't know, like just buying into everything the media is telling them, I don't know what that one was. I did see that video of that lady screaming out there, and I was like, oh, you would definitely get equal rights and lefts on that one. If that's what she really wanted.
Equal rights and lefts, dude. That was dope. That was dope. Brett Ray liked it too. Hey, Brett Ray just threw us a $5 super chat. He said, which would repopulate first, an island with men and one woman, or an island full of women and one man? Which one would repopulate first? What do you think?
That's an
island of men with one woman, or an island of women with one man?
Island with one man and a bunch of women, probably. Right?
Hell yeah, I think absolutely. So give me a bunch of ding, 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 ding. I think that was the winning answer. So that's another cool thing about the super chats is I always put the super chats up at the top, and they're always the ones with the coolest questions too. That was pretty badass. Oh, wait a minute. I got another one for you. What's the matter? You just threw us $2. He said they suffer from toxic femininity. Yes. Toxic femininity. Yeah. I never thought about that. Like maybe too much estrogen, right?
Yeah, I definitely think that's the thing these days.
Yeah, and now here's the thing, dude. We just saw with P. Diddy, and you know how rappers they try to come off like they're masculine and like they're like the quintessential black man, right? The tough, strong alpha male, right? And that's kind of the way I was brought up. Like, I always used to rock NWA music in my Jeep. I had a Jeep Wrangler with the 12-inch rocker Fosgates and the 10,000 watt amps. And I was back in the day when the white boys were playing rap music, the Chronic, Dr. Dre. Like I was into that stuff, man. The Beastie Boys. And I just always thought, like, hey, black dudes, they're like the top of the food chain when it comes to being tough and rough and alpha male. And now we're learning, oh my God, man, once they got into Hollywood behind the scenes, they're all like basically like blowing each other, you know, like with P. Diddy and in these parties.
That's been blowing my mind. My wife will send me videos about the whole Diddy case. I'm like, what in the world are they? And it's crazy how many people. I mean, I'm not trying to make any crazy correlation, but how many people who are at these parties and end up coming out and supporting Kamala.
Dude, all of them. Well, because they know that, like, yeah. Well, because they know she's not going to prosecute them for like all the child trafficking, just like Epstein Island, right?
Yeah.
Dude, it's wild. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because Hollywood and the Democrats, you know, one of their main goals, starting with Margaret Sanger. Margaret Sanger was like a big time Planned Parenthood founder advocate, and she was closely aligned with the Ku Klux Klan, which another Democrat organization, the KKK, right? And her goal, and she even said this in writing, was to use abortion to eliminate and reduce the Black population. And that was one of Hillary Clinton's heroes. And she's, you know, unrepentant about how much she loves Margaret Sanger. I guess one of the founders of Planned Parenthood, right? Mm-hmm. And then you look at like the welfare state, the civil rights laws, Ricky, it was part of the civil right, like to get welfare, the Black father can't live in the same house with the Black mother, like, or anybody who receives welfare. But the idea was it was mainly poor Black people, and it was designed to go after them, just like most of, you know, like Terry versus Ohio and all these laws that make it easier for the police to mess with us. They were originally designed to target Blacks. Of course, now it targets everyone, you know, but originally, like a lot of these laws were passed to go after Black people. And especially like the Democrats wanted to make sure that they broke up the Black family. It was a big deal to make them dependent on the government. That was, a lot of people say anyways, that was why they did it. And so initially when they started doing these Black sitcoms, that was back when Martin Luther King Jr. still had a lot of influence. And a lot of Black actors and actresses say, no, I'm not doing the show unless you show a strong Black family. And that's for real, dude. Like, Black families were actually stronger than so-called white families up and until the Cultural Revolution with the welfare state, the civil rights state. And I think people in my audience know about this, that the Black families were strong. You know, there was always a strong Black husband, and they were tight. And the welfare state broke up the Black family big time. And I'm going to show a video now of a Black leader. I forgot his name, but we're going to watch it and you guys can see, because it's not just hatred against white males. The hatred by the left against males, I believe, is because we compete with the government. Like, you know, because we know that unmarried women, especially single women with kids, overwhelmingly vote Democrat, and that married women, almost 90%, vote Republican and conservative. Because once they have a family and they have a husband, they know they have someone to provide for them, right? And now it's about it's not just about providing, it's about protection. Because as a man, you and I both know this, our wives know that we're going to be there to protect them, and it gives them security. Like if someone breaks into my house, they know they're not leaving. If they do, it's going to be filled with lead, right, in a box. If they mess with my family, and with you, they'll probably end in a rear naked choke, right? Is that a fair statement, though? I mean,
no, yeah, for sure. And my wife was just talking about an ad that was being played from the Democrats. What happened? Like, they basically, the message was, happens in the booth stays in the booth, and telling women they can vote. They don't have to be influenced by their husbands on how they vote. And my wife was really like offended by that. She's like, wait, they think we can't think for ourselves.
Exactly.
We don't know what we want for our family and for our future, and we're just going to do whatever our husbands say. So my wife was just talking about that today, actually, because she had watched that commercial.
Wow, dude, there's a commercial like that?
Yeah, they put it out, and just the other day, I think. And yeah, you got to see that one, because it was. She sent it to me and I watched it and I was like, what kind of message is that?
Well, brother, if you can find that, shoot that over to me. Next time I have you on, we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you know, there's another one. one of my members was talking to me. It was like on a similar vein, had to do with black people in voting. The Democrats say we can't have voter ID because it's racist, because black people aren't, I guess, intelligent enough to know how to get an ID. So that was that's the argument that they're making, is that blacks aren't capable of getting an ID, so it's racist to have a voter ID card. And it sounds kind of like they're doing the same thing with your wife, right? Like saying that women they're too stupid to think on their own. So don't tell your husband, but you don't have to vote Republican or whatever. It's like, are you kidding me? That's just crazy, dude. I mean, they really like take people for fools, it sounds like.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here we're gonna play this next video. This is gonna kind of blow people's minds.
The welfare state became an invading army into the black community. When you look at Cloward and Piven, they were socialists. They said one of the ways that we can emphasize the contradiction of capitalism is this: flood the system with welfare applicants and we will bankrupt it. Because in the black community up until 1960s, there was a stigma associated with being on relief. So they had to remove the stigma. So they said, one of the things we can do, let's re-term the nuclear family as being Eurocentric and therefore racist.
That's
so
right.
Cloward and Piven read their work. They said, if we can separate work from income, it will make a man redundant. High school dropouts will occur, drug addiction, family disintegration. And so what you saw then exactly was 3 to 4 million people in New York City and others flooded into the welfare system because welfare became more generous than working at a time when the unemployment rate for black men was 4%.
4%.
The welfare state became.
So, and like right now, like, you go on the news and the first thing they say is that earning things and merit is racist. It's merit is a white racist thing. Like I don't know about you, bro, but like when you do a fight with UFC, like you win the fight and you get a belt, right? That's merit, isn't it?
Yeah. And you don't want anything given to you. You want to work for it.
So do you think it's racist that people should have to earn things?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like I was telling you earlier, my dad, he was born in Mexico, came here when he was 4 years old, and he's the hardest working guy I know. He's where I learned how to work hard, and that's what he's always preached to me. He's never been without a job. He worked multiple jobs, like to provide for us. So I've never really got that, and they're just incentivizing people to not work and to split the families up.
Split the families up. That's what I'm thinking it's all about. Like, and always blaming it on white men and white males, like trying to separate us by race, I mean, I'm just so sick of it, dude. Like, I grew up in construction. Like you say, your dad's Mexican. The hardest workers on the job were always Mexicans, always. And I ended up, when I got kicked out of my house for fighting when I was like almost 16, I was still 15. I lived in a tent in the backyard of a Mexican family who I worked with on the job site. And yeah, man, I lived in a tent, and they would bring me, tortillas and freaking huevos in the morning. And, I had a truck, so I took him to work, it was like a symbiotic relation. They were trying to marry me off to their daughter. It was hilarious, man, because they knew I was a good dude. They didn't give a crap about me being white. That's what I'm getting at, dude, is that, I don't know, man, you should judge people based on their character and not like their race. It's just, I hate what the Democrats have done to this country, man, trying to separate everybody by race. It's just terrible, dude. Now, this one's going to be a little bit harder to hear, but this is a show that a lot of the guys in my audience probably used to watch. And this is that example I was trying to tell you earlier about how Hollywood wanted to show a weak black family. Like, they wanted to show a strong black woman with a weak black husband. And in order to get these actors and actresses to do the show, they were like, F you, we're not doing that. So watch this. This is going to blow your mind, dude. If you can hear it, turn it up, guys, as best you can, because this was, I think, recorded off of a TV screen. So the comms are really bad.
Mistake to let King leave, regretting that they did not listen to her input.
Rewind it.
It was a mistake to let King leave, regretting that they did not listen to her input.
She said, Lino, you're not happy, don't stay here, so she left.
and that was a mistake to not torque her or satisfy her. At the time, Lear's shows were infamous for their
Norman Lear.
black male role models. On Good Times, for instance, actress Esther Roll refused to take on the leading role of Florida Evans unless the character was given a husband.
She wanted a husband on the show, and I wanted America to see that black men stay with their families and raise their children.
One of the
Amen.
show's creators, Eric Monty, shared the same sentiment as both King and Roll. According to Monty, if there was one thing that Lear kept telling him over and over again, it was this.
The one note I got in every meeting with our bill was, you got to get rid of the father, a strong black man in the sitcom.
King's
You hear that? So Hollywood, and we know who they're behind, right? Hollywood is like 1000% left-wing Marxist. They wanted to get rid of the strong black father. And they've done such a good job at propagandizing hatred against white people, right? That the whole black communities blame white people for what Hollywood and the Democrat Party basically has done to black culture, you know, trying to eliminate the father. You can't. So to collect welfare, you literally can't have the birth father living in the same home. I mean, dude, that's wild to me. That is just absolutely wild to me that you would like, why would, bro, can you think of any reason why anybody would do that? Like separate children from their freaking father?
No. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I could, but it's dark. It's dark.
It's dark. Yeah, it's dark. Yeah. And by the way, check it out, Ricky. We got Mama Lion. Mama Lion's a female, so I love I love the women on my show because they think like you and me. Like they recognize the different roles between men and women. They know that they don't have to act like men, and I think they appreciate it that there are guys like you and me who are open doors for them and treat them with respect and dignity. You know, they know that we're going to take care of their babies. It's not easy, is it, bro? I mean, getting up at dark 30, putting in work and right. I mean, it's right. But the joy that your woman and those kids give you when you come home, right? It's like the ultimate painkiller. You know what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah, definitely. We're like, we've been talking about like men and like their leadership roles and everything, but I agree with this so much because like my wife is like my favorite person, you know, and to see, you know, like we have 2 kids and you know, they're very, very young and the new stage in our life, and to see how strong she is to be able to do that, and it makes me appreciate her even more. It makes me want to like be better. So I see a lot of the comments, and you know, I've seen some comments from women too, and I'm like, I'm not like bashing women. I'm not, you know, ultimately I want to be better because my favorite person's a woman. My kids, I have 2 girls, you know, so I'm trying to be the best man for them.
Yeah. And they're always going to remember that you hustled for them, especially your daughters. You know, like my daughter will pop her head in, sees me on the computer and sees me doing these shows. And, you know, she knows, and mom says, hey, he's trying to fight for us. You know, he's trying to build an audience. So eventually he can quit his job practicing law all the time and do these shows full time. You know, she knows what I'm trying to do because I feel called to try to help people because of the example that my example of not having any formal education and becoming a lawyer. You know, some guy came on my show the other night, Ricky, saying that I inspired him to get his GED. And it just blew my mind, bro. Like, I was like, really? He's like, no joke, man. And now he's pursuing his bachelor's, you know, awesome. And, you know, like, dude, it's pretty freaking rewarding, you know.
I definitely go through a phase where I'm addicted to your videos, trying to like learn because you put out some great content. So I'm like trying to go and you trying to learn. You know, I was just on the one earlier today. I think it was the sovereign citizen one.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Just it's great information.
Thanks, bro. You know, and I try to, you know, and I have sovereign citizen people on my channel, and you know, I used to be heavily into that, and I got beat up by a West Covina cop. That's what started me on my road to becoming a lawyer with no law school and or law degree or undergrad for that matter. And So, you know, I talk about it. I don't disparage people because they want their freedom. I don't put people down because they think there might be a better way. I want to understand people and try to relate to them. It's hard for me to relate to Marxists because I know that their end goal is to destroy us. Like they literally hate us, dude.
Yep.
You know, they hate us. It's just so it's kind of hard to love someone who hates you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, dude, I appreciate you saying that, Ricky. I didn't know that you were into my content. I'm starting to find like I got a call today. From somebody over in Australia, and they're like, "Hi, Mike. I just want to let you know that we really love your channel out here." And I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?"
Not bad.
Dude, it's just to tell me that they called my backline to my law firm. And I'm like, dude, bro, please, I know you like my show and I thank you so much for watching, but please don't call my firm because what I do here is totally separate and apart from my law firm. And look, my partners, a couple of them are lefties, and so I try to keep it separate. Just so you guys know, I work with people based upon their qualifications, not their political beliefs. So, I've got friends, believe it or not, who are gay, but they're not like the fairy queer gay people. They're people who act like Marines. And they tell me straight up, we don't like those fairy guys. We don't believe in sharing bathrooms. They don't have rainbow flag bumper stickers on their cars. They're just normal guys like you and me who just happen to be attracted to the same sex, but they don't flaunt it and walk around with girl panties on and lisp and all that. That's what I'm being told by, number one, by masculine gay men, is that there are a lot more gay people out there than you think. But the only ones that you see are the fairies, like the ones who act like girls with the little magic wands and sell Bud Light. But they, to a man, they hate those guys. They hate the whole trans thing. They don't like it that men are trying to dress like women so they can share restrooms. So there's a whole group of people out there who just don't want to be publicized. And a lot of them are in the Marine Corps, man. And every single one of them, I would gladly lay down my life for those guys. And I know they would do the same for me. So just so you guys know, like even the people at my firm, I could give a rat's ass about their politics, but leave it at the door when you come into the business. That's why I don't want my firm or anybody, in my law business to be bringing that in. When we're at work, we're there to advocate for the lesser privileged people and to help them. And then on my spare time, on my own dime, I do these shows. But I just wanted to share that with you. That, wow, dude, thank you so much, Ricky, for saying that. That makes me really happy to know that I'm able to touch people's lives. Now I do see we have some guy in the sidebar here saying, "Do you have a bachelor's in anything?" Nope, I don't. I went to Orange Coast College because Playboy magazine said they had the hottest chicks. And that was back in the 90s. And so I took a German class there and never finished it. I did finish it, but they wouldn't let me get my credential because I refused to pay a parking fine. So Orange Coast College, I'm not going to pay that fine. So I got a parking ticket at Orange Coast College and I wouldn't pay it. So I never got my German language certificate. Aber ich spreche kleine Deutsch. Yeah, man, but it was just all for me. It was just always about meeting chicks. And my degree, I went to my dad always said, I went to the University of Sidewalk. I went to USW, the University of Sidewalk. And my degree is from the School of Hard Knocks, brother.
From the streets, huh?
That's it, bro. That's right, man. And getting kicked out of school for fighting because I was always smaller. And so the bullies would always pick on me. And since my dad was a Marine, he was like, "You never back down. You're an Ehline. That we do not back down." And he had me in judo since I was 6. And so I was doing satisfying throws against guys 3 to 4 times my size. That's the thing about bullies, is none of them know how to fight. They just think because of their size and that they're larger that they're going to intimidate people. And everybody that I ever sparred with was bigger than me. So yeah, there's a little bit of intimidation, but as you know, Ricky, once you've been out on the mat a few times, you become less fearful of their size and more fearful of their potential skill. And if you can see, you watch those hips, see how they're moving, and you know pretty much right away if they know what they're doing or not. Is that a fair statement?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why I love to coach. I coached middle school level for 10 years. I've coached, all around the world for top elite athletes. And I just love seeing like the confidence in people once they start training and once they learn how to, control their body and learn how to grapple a little bit. I think that's important for everybody to be able to do, honestly, because it builds so much confidence.
Huge.
Mm-hmm.
Huge. Yeah. It's, so when I was in boot camp, there was this little Chinese guy. I think his name was Private Ha, sir. People made fun of him. And I remember this big dude from Texas was messing with him and trying to doing all that crap. And Private Ha got in his face and said, "Excuse me." And this dude turned yellow and backed down because Ha stood his ground. And I'll never forget that just showing your lack of fear, not even that maybe you are afraid, but showing that you're willing to face off a larger opponent, it scares them. It scares them. They're like, what does this guy know? Does this guy know something that I should know?
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, I grew up wrestling with heavyweights like my entire life. And I even, now that I get paid to fight, I try not to get injured, but I still go with like my bigger training partners, and the bigger guys never like to get beat up by a smaller guy. So, I will say that. So, and if someone doesn't train and you do, and you surprise them with that, you'll see the look on their face change pretty quickly.
Yeah. It humbles them pretty fast, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. You're right. My sensei, Nori Bunasawa, I think he was like 4'11". And I think he's a 6th degree red belt now. And man, he was just throwing dudes around like 3-4 times his size. And I just never got over that. Like, wow, I want to be like him.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome, man. So are you were you like a high school champ wrestler? Is that where you got your base?
Yeah. I started wrestling when I don't remember if I must have been like 8 years old. And then wrestled all the way throughout high school, and didn't wrestle in college. Went straight to fighting. And but I'm about to be get my first degree on my black belt, which means I've had my black belt for 3 years in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Usually in jiu-jitsu it takes 10 to 12 years to get a black belt. So I feel pretty established in Brazilian jiu-jitsu and
Right
fighting
on, bro.
overall. Yeah. So
Good for you.
I love to coach it. Like I said, I coach all levels, but mostly these days, mostly professional fighters.
Right on, man. So do you think that you'll eventually like retire sooner than later and maybe get into coaching?
Yeah, well, I'm 32 now, so I think I have a few more years for sure. But I'm definitely interested in opening a gym. I miss coaching. I've kind of got away from it a little bit because I train so much. And I have a family and everything now, so I'm just really trying to focus in on that. But I definitely want to open my own gym, my own recovery center, teach people about health and wellness, and teach people how to defend themselves.
Absolutely. Well, definitely my audience is going to support you. So real quick here, I want to get into this next video. So this is Dr. Benjamin Carson, and of course he was a hero to the Black community until Barry Soetoro hated him. It just amazes me how the Democrats have I don't know how they did it, but they broke Black families apart, and now they think that they speak for all Black people. And Barry Soetoro, aka Barack Obama, really did a number on the Black community. Did absolutely nothing to help Black people, but yet the so-called Black community still rallies around the guy. Even now that he's admitted that he's gay and he lied about it to become president, it just doesn't faze him. And it's not that he's gay, it's that he lied about it. That's the problem that I have with these guys, bro, is, that they lie about it. I don't know. Let's go ahead and check out Ben Carson and see what he says about how the war on men, especially in the Black community, has played out.
Well, the family is where you derive your identity. And, we've already had the example with the breakup of the Black family. And you see the violence that has ensued, the murder rates, in our inner cities are so high. People don't respect other people's lives.
It's terrible.
A lot of that has to do with the missing fathers. And now that spread to the rest of our society as well.
Why was the Black family particularly either susceptible, or was it targeted, or how did that happen?
Well, you know, the Black family did very well throughout slavery and Jim Crow and all those. The families were together at that point. And then along came Lyndon Johnson and the war on poverty and policies that did not foster family development. If you were getting some aid, for instance, for living expenses, and you got a raise, your rent went up. You brought someone into the home who had another income, your rent went up. There are other things that sort of pushed the man out of the family. The more babies you had out of wedlock, the more money you got. You know, these are crazy policies.
Crazy. I mean, clearly they weren't designed to work like that, or you know.
Well, I don't know.
I think they were.
I wonder, because Lyndon Johnson was caught on tape saying, you know, if we give these Black people these things, we'll have their vote for the next 200 years. You know, it was all politically driven. It wasn't because they were compassionate individuals. But the bottom line is, it caused dysfunctional families to develop where there had been very strong families before, and you see the result of that. And now that same phenomenon has spread to the rest of our society.
Sure has.
And therefore we're seeing a very rapid disintegration of traditional nuclear families and a concomitant decline in our nation.
What do you think, Ricky? How do you feel about what he said?
Yeah, I think that's an issue people never want to bring up. Like, I mean, the media portrays one thing, but they don't want to. They don't want to touch on that there might be an issue culturally at this point with the fathers leaving the house, and that, you know, and at some point there needs to be some accountability too. You know, you're not just a victim. You're, you know, and I think that definitely needs to be, you know, they need to talk about that more.
Yeah. It just amazes me that guys like you and me with that fighter mentality, like, to us, it's like, there's no question about it. Like, you have to have a strong father around. It's just, that's it. We don't even give it a second thought, you know? I don't get it, man. And then the opposite of that would be the cat ladies, these guys. I mean, just totally psychopathic, right? Crazy. I'm still trying to figure out, like, what the heck is going on. And then you have this creature right here.
Okay, this trip into Tuckham's dreamscape is absurd. I mean, testicle tanning, which supposedly raises testosterone levels in men, presumably not FDA approved, was absolutely a popular search term today. And we can make jokes about Tuckham's because, I mean, come on, and laugh at him on Twitter. But the message here is far more nefarious. It's about the so-called decline in masculinity and the rise of the left.
Sorry,
And
Mama
it's a
Lion.
message that resonates deeply with Tuckham's Gen X to elderly white male evangelical audience. The formerly bow-tied Dancing with the Stars contestants' hypermasculinity flex is some pretty blatant fascist posturing. The decline of real men is code for conservative white men who need laser beams to make white babies. And if that all falls apart, that spooky old great replacement theory is bound to succeed. What's scarier is what the rhetoric translates into. From book banning to abortion bans and laws that regulate procreation in women's bodies. And what is now an obsession with the false notion that scary liberal saboteurs are going to turn your kids, meaning your sons, trans. That fascist posturing has led to fascist tendencies on the American right that worship tough guy, well, fake tough guy, Trump.
You know, Ricky, it's kind of funny because fascism actually has its roots in socialism, government control over every aspect of your life. A constitutional republic is about as far from fascism as you could ever get. It supports the rights of the individual. So I'm still trying to understand where they get their playbook from, but it's definitely not based on logic.
Who even as a ghostly presence can still reign as a party boss as he recreates New York's Tammany Hall at Mar-a-Lago. And up next, what all that means.
All right, so we got to see what the Communist News Network. Wait, was that PMSNBC? I think that was PMSNBC. So that's the hyperestrogen PMSNBC. Now let's look at what a top CDC official has to say about white men and what we need to do in order to earn our ability to live.
The solution. Every study published in the last 5 years, when you look at vaccine refusers, I'm not talking about, hesitants, most of them we can talk into coming to terms, but refusers. We'll just get rid of all the whites in the United States because Houston is the most diverse city in the entire United States. There's 7 Asian language spoken. The solution. Every study published in the last 5 years, when you look at vaccine refusers, I'm not talking about, hesitants, most of them we can talk into coming to terms, but refusers. We'll just get rid of all the whites in the United States because Houston is the most diverse city in the entire United States. There's 7 Asian language spoken.
Wait a minute. We're the most diverse city, so we need to get rid of all the white. I mean, listen to what they say, bro. Like, we're the most diverse city, so we need to get rid of all the white people. I just don't get it. I mean, dude, it just doesn't make any sense to me. If you're diverse, that means you want to have people who don't think and act exactly like you and not just based on the way you look, right?
Mm-hmm. And you could never say that. You can only say that about white people. You can never say that about any other group.
You know what? You have a valid point. Like, yeah, if I was to say that about Asians or someone else, I'd probably be hung from a tree somewhere. Yeah, it's that's so I didn't quite get that. So she's saying that if you refuse to take a government mandated injection, and it's only white males, I guess, that are doing that they need to be eliminated. Was that what you got out of that?
Yeah, that's what it seemed like she was saying. It seems so crazy. I was trying to
Let's watch it again, bro, because I'm still confused because this is what the news media and the public school system and these leftist colleges are telling us is diversity, equity, and inclusion. So let's look at what diversity, equity, and inclusion means to a bleeding heart Marxist.
The solution. Every study published in the last 5 years, when you look at vaccine refusers, I'm not talking about, hesitants, most of them we can talk into coming to terms, but refusers. We'll just get rid of all the whites in the United States because Houston is the most diverse city in the entire United States. There's 7 Asian language spoken. The solution. Every study published in the last 5 years, when you look at vaccine refusers, I'm not talking about, hesitants, most of them we can talk into coming to terms, but refusers. We'll just get rid of all the whites in the United States because Houston is the most diverse city in the entire United States. There's 7 Asian language spoken. The solution.
All right, so
every study published in
let's invite like the sidebar in on this one. So guys, everybody in the sidebar, give me a bunch of ones if you think that woman believes in inclusion, and give me a bunch of twos if you think she's no different than the Nazis of the 1930s and 40s in Germany. And then Ricky, what do you think of the whole deal? Do you think that people that talk like that are really supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah, definitely not. I'm definitely not pushing an agenda and trying to coerce people into taking whatever they're pushing.
Yeah, don't say it because we don't want to get the channel.
Yeah, sorry.
I already had one of my shows banned for 7 days because I engaged in so-called VA, disinformation. So. Because according to them, if you disagree with one of their scientists, even though 1,000 other scientists say the other thing, that you're engaged in disinformation. So they only listen to the scientists that are part of their diversity, equity, and inclusion patrol, I guess, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't
Pretty
know.
wild. Pretty wild. So Ricky, do you have any tips for, for the single guys on the show, where they could, become more masculine and maybe find the right chick?
Oh yeah. Right. I mean, best thing you could do is like, because I hear people are like so depressed. I get this a lot of people coming in the gym and they're depressed, and then they start working out and eating healthy, and they start getting confidence in themselves that way. And then that automatically, just living a healthier lifestyle and working out, I feel like pushes them and to be better in a lot of other areas. And also not only that, but it makes them, more desirable. Women want someone that can defend them and protect them. So I think that's definitely something that you should do. It doesn't have to be fighting. You don't have to learn how to fight, but I mean, I definitely think it's beneficial to learn some form of combat, but just living a healthier lifestyle in general, I think.
Yeah. What do you think about, look, you guys know that I do read the Bible and I do go to church sometimes, but I don't force it on people. What do you think about like spirituality or church and that kind of stuff? Do you think that'll help them?
Definitely. Especially, I mean, where the morals and values are being pushed on us today. I mean, it's going to church, and the Bible is going to push you to better values overall. I grew up fairly religious. My family was, we'd go to church every Sunday. But once my parents kind of split up when I was 13, I stopped going. And but now that I have kids, it's definitely pushed me towards wanting to be, a bigger part of the community and bigger part of a church than ever, especially with how it seems, the world has been as of lately and where it's headed. But yeah, I definitely think the morals and the values that you can learn at church, I mean, it can only be beneficial, I think.
Yeah. I think that you're on the right track too. What do you guys think in the sidebar? So Wolfer says he holds ancestral pagan beliefs, and with a name like Wolfir, well, look, I'm a Swede myself. I'm Swedish and Norwegian with a little bit of Scottish, and from what I know about my ancient religious beliefs, pagan, whatever, Odin and Thor, pretty militaristic society. So me personally, I don't have a problem with that, Ricky. I think the idea of faith and belief in a higher power, I think is really important. What you know what I'm saying? Like it's just it develops discipline, knowing and having faith in an afterlife, that we're not just, this isn't just some big mistake like how the Canadians are, their government. Oh, you can just off yourself if you're unhappy. It's like, really? Like they're doing that now in Canada, dude. Like people could just like sign up and take their life.
Yeah, I was reading a little bit. That was like something assisted suicide, basically, and just if you're like depressed or something.
I mean, we're all God's children, dude. Like, really, the government's like, so you're depressed. So, I mean, first they make you depressed by making your money worthless, and then telling you all day long that since you're white, that you're no good and you're a piece of garbage. So why live, right? So you just off yourself. I mean, that's just the wrong message,
Yeah, it's scary that you have a government that'd be pushing that.
Could you imagine, like, you pass away, your wife passes away, and your kids are left behind, and your daughter gets depressed, so she walks into the doctor, and the doctor says, "Here, just fill this out, and all your pain will go away." Yeah, we were having that conversation earlier. I think it was me and Brett. I think you were also, maybe it was you, but I'm for sure I was talking to Brett about it, about how having kids, was you too. Pretty much any parent that I talk to, once you have kids, you really do want to leave the world in a better place. You really do want, it's like you don't matter anymore. It's like you're really worried about your kids and what's going to happen when you're gone.
Yeah, that's something that I've definitely we're talking about. Definitely thinking about more and more. My kids are very young, but so everything's kind of newer to me. But I'm just thinking of just literally about everything, in schooling it was another one. That's why I was excited that Brett was coming on. I'm excited to dig into his classical learner a little bit more and maybe go that way.
Yeah, I'm gonna get you a break on his material. What I'm gonna try to work out, dude, and I just don't know what your deal is with the UFC, but my grand vision was to have you become a spokesman for Classical Learner, and then in turn have him just hook you up, with the course, and maybe even cut you in on some proceeds. Because I think a guy like you, I mean, you've got all those men, those fighters, people in your dojo, they should all be homeschooling their kids, man. And with the
and it seems like it's the percentage of people doing that has gone up more than ever in the last few years, right? Especially since COVID.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're putting tampon machines in the boys' restroom and rainbow flags all over the place. Look, parents don't want that for their kids. That's just a bunch of activist clowns that just graduated from like Harvard or UCLA, and their little safe spaces, and they want to force that onto your children because they got a teaching credential. But when I was growing up, school teachers wanted to teach school. They didn't want to force their leftist, Marxist, political, cultural Marxism on children. So yeah, like people are fleeing California. I mean, like pretty much all my Marine buddies who have kids, they left already. Like they don't want their kids anywhere near a California teacher. And you go through a school parking lot and all you see is like coexist, right, with rainbow flags and hammer and sickle flags, Che Guevara all over the place. And it's like coexist with everybody except guys like you and me. Right. That's a problem. They, like you just saw in these videos, they want us dead. And we're literally, like Malcolm X used to say, why would you ever let your enemy teach your children? Like why would you let your enemy teach your children? It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know. What do you think is going on, dude? With like what happened to our country in like just less than 4 years? It's like it's upside down.
Yeah, it really does feel that way, and it feels like reality is just they've been playing with it. Anything you can be, anything you want. They even have, I don't know how prevalent it is everywhere, but they have like kids thinking they're like animals, like little furries and stuff.
Oh, I saw that.
Like that. I'm like, what is going on?
I saw that. That's wild. Oh wait. Oh, so Wolfure is a Swede. I think Wolfure. Are you a Swede, man? Says there's similar problems in Sweden as here in UK and Somali gangs. Yeah, our government's flooding the southern border with like Somali gangs, Venezuelan prison gangs, and like the news media just covers it up like it's no big deal. That's why I always tell everybody, repeat after me: the legacy news media is the enemy of the American people. They're the enemy of the American people. Type it in the sidebar. Enemy of the American people. Do it for me, guys. Show your solidarity with families and parents. I mean, I'm telling you, Ricky, I just am blown away at what's going on. The world is sick, Mama Lion says. Yeah, sickness. That Brick Jonesy says it's right. Oh, Wolfure is a Brit. All right, mate. Well, I feel for you, mate. Your country has flooded your borders with jihadists, and two-tier Kier basically goes after traditional patriotic Englishmen who say anything bad about it as if they're racist or something's wrong with them. But I mean, I feel for you. I used to live in Motherwell, Scotland, mate. And, my friends who call me from Scotland and Northern Ireland as well as regular Ireland and London. And they're to a T, they're like, dude, they've destroyed our country. Guys like Kier have destroyed our country. They flooded our country with basically people who support a caliphate. They want to support this Islamic revolution. And when you tell your government or talk about it on social media, they'll come and arrest you, dude. They'll arrest you, bro. They'll put you in jail, Ricky. I mean, just for talking about it.
Yeah, just even stuff they're posting on social media. I've been like seeing plenty of videos, like either getting arrested or even just getting visited. But it just seems kind of crazy to be able to, you don't have freedom of speech.
Yeah. And then you have Democrat politicians here saying that they need to do the same thing here. And then you see that they're all being paid off by the same billionaires, like World Economic Forum, WHO, which is pretty much all Islam. Like the whole United Nations is pretty much Islamic run. The only reason why it doesn't look that way is because China, the United States, and Russia have veto power. But if it wasn't for them, it would just be the United Nations. There would be no Israel, that's for sure. It'd be over. So yeah, Wolf here says they have to self-censor, just like I'm doing, mate. Like I can't say anything about Pfizer or any of these companies, even if it's true, because if it goes against the narrative that Google or YouTube supports, I'll lose my channel. So it's pretty sad. You know, you can't even speak your mind. I think that's a violation of Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, by the way. I think that when these social media sites get in, and start censoring stuff. Okay, check this out. I don't know if you guys know, but this is Max Bonilla. So Ricky, have you seen Max before? He's got like millions of followers.
Let me take this over.
I think you showed me a video before, actually.
Yeah. So Max is the guy who I really have a lot of respect for because he's a young man and he was following around Gavin Newsom with a camera, asking him why it's okay for school teachers to secretly transition little children who are like kindergartners and throw fathers in prison for disagreeing with it, for not wanting to have their children secretly transition behind their backs. And Max exposed that. And Max, introduce yourself and say hi to everybody.
How you doing, Michael? How you doing, Ricky? Good to see you. Yeah, so I'm pretty active here in California, and I like to talk about state and federal issues. I'm still a teenager, but it's something that I enjoy. I enjoy researching the issues, and I enjoy putting videos out there for people's consumption, for them to be able to enjoy. But also, I like putting action items out there so that people can take actions on these issues. These issues are really crucial to, the survival of society, and castrating children is one of the things that I believe is inherently wrong. And so when I'm an advocate, I go up to these leaders. I try to hold them accountable. I go to committee hearings. I even inform people about the potential events they could be at to make a difference. And so that's just something I do. I'm a watchdog. I hold these people to the fire because their butts need to be held to the fire.
Keep on talking because I'm trying to find your video right now.
Yeah, that'd be good. So yeah, there's that. Or you could even do the fact that I talk about the border a lot. That's a big issue for me as an American citizen. And then people try to say, well, you hate your own people because you talk about the border, you talk about illegal immigration, you talk about issues that are very sensitive. What people don't understand is that there isn't such thing as my own people. They're like, the thing is, Latinos, depending on what country you come from, they're very divided against each other. Like Venezuelans and Colombians and Ecuadorians hate each other. And then there are caste systems in certain countries. Sometimes, depending on the race you are, you can't survive or you can't thrive. Your economic status is already decided for you. And in some of these countries, they look at certain groups of people, even if they are Latino, as lower class because of that. And some of these countries have significant ideological differences. So it's not just a group of people. There are people that, and when you're a people, you have to be united in culture. You have to be united in ideology. A lot of the times you have to be united in religion. So that whether that's Catholicism, Christianity, or whatever. And a lot of these countries are very divided against each other because they don't have that kind of unity. Just like Mexicans and Ecuadorians don't really like each other.
Dude, my wife's from El Salvador. My wife's from El Salvador. Mexicans and Salvadorians have a beef, man.
They have a beef too, and in Mexico, the drug cartels reign. There was the former vice president of Ecuador had to flee to Mexico because she was being brought to Ecuador on charges of conspiring with the cartels, like literal treason, and the Mexican president wouldn't extradite him back. So there are conflicts even within a so-called people group or a so-called fraction of society, that some of these comments that are made that people are claiming are so offensive.
Well, Max, before we get too far into, because man, you inspire me and my audience. So look at all the comments in the sidebar. They love you, dude. Guys, I really look, Ricky, you talk about Billboard Chris. Max knows Billboard Chris.
I do.
Yeah.
I've met him a couple times.
Yeah. So we're gonna just really quick. I want to share this with my people, with Team MPE, so they can see. Max, I'm so happy. Guys, Max would have come on earlier, but he was doing his duty as a son to honor his father under the 5th commandment. And hanging
facts.
out.
For real.
What you're doing to
our children.
How you doing, I'm doing fantastic. How about you, Governor Newsom?
Do you know what a
Good.
detransitioner is? Do you know Chloe Cole? At the age of 15, she got her breast removed and now regrets it because of gender affirmative care.
How are you?
How about the Lodi woman? At 13, she got her breast removed. Gender affirmative care. No one stopped her. She was mentally unwell.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a.
You can't get a tattoo until you're 18. You can't date until you're 18. You can't go in a tanning salon. But young girls and young boys can get their body parts removed. Talk to me. Our duty. I'm an attorney. I sent you letters. Thousands of people I represent. Kids who haven't been firm don't commit suicide. Kids commit suicide 19 times more after
19 times more.
Governor, parents have legitimate concerns about their kids being able to medically transition at such a young age. What do you have to say to those parents? What do you have to say?
Dude.
Yeah.
Right on. Give me a bunch of ones for Max,
I
guys.
appreciate that. So there's that where I'm more of a cameraman, but then there's another one where I'm like face to face with him, and I got in his face in the elevator. It was crazy, or as he was coming out of an elevator.
I'm gonna
It's
try
nuts.
to find it. You just keep talking. And have you ever had a chance to meet Ricky Simon, Max? Because you
No,
look like
I haven't, but I know you're
Right.
a UFC fighter. Good to meet you, man.
Yeah, you too. You too. It's crazy that I mean, it's awesome to see you with the confidence and like, where do you think you get that from? The confidence to be able to just walk up and talk to like a governor like that. And it's awesome. I think it's
I appreciate that. I don't know. I mean, I just I think I had to develop that confidence. I felt like I had no choice. It's like, when you're thrown in, it's like when gold is thrown into a fire, it has no choice but to purify itself.
Oh man.
So it's like make it from pure gold to even purer gold. You can refine it. You can refine it. Might look great, but throw it in, refine it even more. And so that's what it's like. The last few years have been a real cooking oven for people. They've been real challenging, and so people have hopefully had they've had no choice but to grow. And to mature and to gain strength and to gain courage, hopefully. And I hope those are the choices that people made during that time. There are a lot of people that adopted a victim mentality, unfortunately, but that's not what we should be striving for. We should be
Amen.
striving to grow, to become more courageous, to get better at life, to get better at understanding other people. And really, COVID and all the other challenges that came with it gave me an opportunity to learn how to better interact with other humans under immense pressure, actually. So I think that's an important trait, an important characteristic to have if you're going to go into the real world.
Man, Ricky, can you believe this young dude? I mean, he just motivates the crap out of me. Look at how lean you got too, dude. You leaned out. You look like you've been working out. What's going on? Are you taking jujitsu? What's going on?
No, probably just walking about 5 to 6 miles a day and not deviating away from that whatsoever. Eating less, making healthier choices just in general, minimizing stress. Those are all really important things to keep a healthy lifestyle. And I think I've really prioritized that over the last several months.
Did you meet a chick maybe?
No, we're not there yet, but you know what? I'm focused on my mission. My mission's like my number one thing. Whoever's gonna meet me there is gonna meet me there. Whoever isn't. I think I hold a pretty high line, and I have some pretty high standards, and I think I'm gonna keep them that way.
Good for you, brother. Don't settle for anything less. Find a good Christian woman who's a nurturer, and make sure that you're able to provide and protect her. And that's why we got Ricky Simon here, because Ricky Simon's going to teach you how to be the best jiu-jitsu fighter you could ever be.
That's great. Yeah, that's the protection portion. I see that.
Right.
I was checking out your Instagram the other day. Yeah, I saw some good clips on there.
Skip over the ones where I'm getting beat up.
Yeah. Sometimes
I want to show you that clip real quick, Max. We're gonna rock this clip real quick of you doing your thing with Newsom over here. I think this is the one you were talking about.
Yeah, you can skip like 10 seconds in because this is
Well, it's almost over anyway. Screw it. Let's watch it.
Yeah, screw it.
Governor Newsom, the Jacumba area in the state of California is pouring in with migrants every single day. Do you believe that that's a national security threat to our country?
Down 90% since the
National Guard right on the other side of the border. I actually went down and visited. It's down 90%.
I saw that you visited, but are you doing anything? Is the Biden administration doing anything on the border?
Down 90%.
There's that, sir, there's that Senate bill, but that Senate bill, it was all foreign aid. It was foreign aid to Ukraine. It was foreign aid to all these other countries. Governor, you don't care about the American people. Governor Newsom, have them pass HR 2. That's a much better bill, Governor. That has nothing to do with the border. Good, thank you.
So we lost him. He'll come back though. He probably has a crummy internet connection. Ricky, there he is. There he is. I got
to come back. Sorry about that.
So Max, because I want to let you talk, but I got to point something out. This whole it's down 90%. So we know what happened, right? We know that Sleepy Joe started flying him in the middle of the night to make it look like there were less people crossing, right? Everything they're doing is political theater, and PMS, NBC, and the Communist News Network, they lap it up, the lapdog media. And unfortunately, like the older generation, like the 50 and over crowd, they believe anything these piece of garbage commies tell them. And they're like, well, you're lying. It really is down 90% because somebody on CNN told me. It's like, dude, they're flying them into military bases.
No.
So tell us about that, Max.
That statistic, I actually remember the Biden press conference where his press secretary came out and said that the border crossings were down 90%. and so he got that statistic directly from the Biden administration. And of course, the parrots on CNN, the parrots on MSNBC, they're going to constantly be talking about that statistic and floating it like that's the end all be all. It's an argument from authority. An argument from authority, and that's
an appeal to authority.
Well, that's what it is. Yeah, an appeal to authority, because they're saying, well, we're in power, we have the right statistics, no one can challenge us. Ministry of Truth type deal 2.0. And like you said, you made an excellent point. The reason why, if anything, that the border crossings might have gone down just even a little bit is because instead of allowing them to come in that way, they just flew them in. They met, I don't know if they met the caravans or what they did, but they picked them up and they flew them into the country. And they had a whole program where the Department of Homeland Security was accepting applications to get people inside this country.
That's right.
I didn't know they were the Department of Smuggling Migrants. I thought they were the Department of Homeland Security.
And why would you even call them migrants? Because that shows a modicum of legality. They're illegals, and they're not supposed to be coming in here. And they're getting everything for free, unlike my wife and other people who came here legally, right? They had to get in line. They had to pass a test. They had to prove their loyalty to the country. I mean, what's going on, Max? Tell us, what do you think is going on, dude?
It's election interference. They want to influence the elections. The only way for Democrats to stay in power at this current moment is to register these illegal aliens en masse. They want to register them. And they're not doing this through government. They're doing this through non-government organizations, non-governmental organizations. They're getting paid by the department. They're getting paid by the Department of Homeland Security to be able to administer these programs. They're giving them free shelter. They're giving them free housing. They're giving them free food. Congress included $600 million in their appropriations for fiscal year 2024 to 2025 for illegal aliens. So this is stuff that's going through your representative, the representative that you voted in. Chances are they voted for this. They made whatever compromises were necessary to get a complete federal budget, and in there was an appropriation for $600 million to go to I think it was Customs and Border Patrol, and then it got transferred to the Department of Homeland Security to then offer these payouts to non-governmental organizations that are supporting these illegals.
That is unfreaking believable, dude. And before we get on, because Max, you missed my buddy Ricky doing some sparring, and a lot of the people that just came in. I've got Ricky Simone. He is a professional UFC fighter, badass, father of 2 amazing children, and a protector of his woman. And he loves his wife, and this is what he does to look after his family. Check it out, guys.
There you go.
Yeah, true wrestler.
Gianni's here legally too, my training partner. So
right on.
There you go.
You got to get Max on the mats, dude.
For real.
Let's go.
You got to do it, bro. It's part of being a man. It's part of joining the warrior class.
Yep.
You know it. You know what's up.
For sure.
I know you do. We love you, Max.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Just got to take off these glasses. Get out there.
That was awesome. I got one more I want to show y'all.
Awesome.
So that was Ricky Simone, guys. Tell Dana White to get him back out there on the mats. Hold on, let me get this other one. I want you guys to blow up. I want you to blow up the UFC Twitter page. Get freaking Ricky Simone on the mats, Dana. Get Ricky Simone on the maps, Dana. We want to see him fight in the UFC.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Hey, I did have a question too, because I keep seeing that, and then there's someone did comment that like the Republicans shot down a bill that would prevent people coming in illegally, but I thought I had read that they were trying to give people citizenship with that, like a certain number of people who already came in illegally.
So initially, the first bill that got rejected on the U.S. Senate floor, they were trying to log roll. They were trying to put multiple things together, including foreign aid. So that's why I said to Governor Newsom, you supported the bill that's all the way in D.C. that included money for Ukraine. More money for Ukraine than for the border when it was supposed to be a border bill. More money for Ukraine, more money for Taiwan, more money for Israel, more foreign aid than money to increase protections at the border, to increase the amount of agents, to increase the amount of screening that was happening. And so they log rolled those things together and called it a border bill, and then decided to blame the other side when it didn't pass.
That's all they do.
And then what they did is they scrapped the entire thing about the border, and they just passed a pure foreign aid bill through both houses of Congress, and Biden signed it into law. 105, 100, Biden total, this it's insane how much foreign aid he's approved this year. Biden has approved like 135 or 140 billion dollars just in foreign aid. Like over just within the last year. Not even so it hasn't been a long time, and we've sent Ukraine a total of $200 billion between 2022 and now. And then now that you factor this $105 billion, Biden has used his access to presidential drawdown authority to send more and more money to Ukraine in the tens of billions total. On
money
top
laundering
of that
operation, right? It's like
money
a money
laundering operation.
Yeah.
So it's insane. But yeah, I got to go here in about like 5 minutes or so, but I thought I would pop in since I had some time. And,
you know, we're
get
gonna close up the show anyway, so this was a good way to top it off, to cap off the show. So guys, I want you to give me a bunch of ones for Ricky and for Max and thank them. I just dropped Ricky Simone's Instagram link because that's your main place that you post, right, Ricky?
Yeah.
I'll follow you on Instagram, Ricky.
Yeah, I'll follow you back, man. You're awesome. It's great to meet you.
He's the best, man. Max is the next. You got my vote, Max, for sure. So, I just dropped your link. I'm going to drop it one more time, Ricky, for my people in the sidebar. And if you guys want to follow me, it's real simple. You can go to my YouTube homepage and you can do the drop down.
Yeah, follow Michael on X and on Instagram and whatever other platforms you're on. X and Instagram.
Yeah, and then really quick, I just want to share while I still have you guys here. I just want to share. So the best way to support my channel, guys, is to pick up the digital version of my ebook, My Journey to Becoming a Practicing Lawyer with No Law Degree or Undergrad. And all you have to do is go to my YouTube homepage and just click the drop-down menu, and it's $19.99. It's a living ebook. So I take you on my journey of how I became a lawyer with no undergrad and no law degree. And I talk to you about how I was able to find lawyers to study under, my time in the Marine Corps, and sort of like my life and what I ended up doing to be where I am today. And so it's a really inspiring journey for people who are less privileged, maybe a single mom who can't afford to go just because of the time to go to law school, how I did it. and how you could probably learn from it. So that's a great way to support my channel, besides giving me super chats and stuff like that, or buying memberships for the less fortunate. And then, of course, always make sure to like and subscribe to Max Bonilla at Outrage Teen, to Ricky Simone, and give him a bunch of ones again and thank him for showing up. And then really quick, I just want, guys, we got to say goodbye to the audience. So Jeff, thank you so much. Jeff says he's subscribing. Cops are 5150. What about those of us who don't have a computer? Cops are 5150. I am in the process of trying to scale a paper bound book for people like you, but unfortunately I'll have to hit you with shipping and handling. But maybe between Max and Ricky's buddies who make t-shirts and silk screening, we can find somebody to help me put together a decent price book. You know, and that's how we do it. We build those parallel systems, right? And you missed Brett Pike. He was on earlier tonight, Max. So he showed up even though he just had surgery. And then I also want everybody to thank Roger Lane. Roger Lane just gifted 5 memberships. So that means there's 5 more people now who get a Lance Corporal chevron on their profile, and they get to look at all my stuff in the back that I've hidden from all the regular commies, because I don't want to get banned. But on my back channel, you guys can check out some of my other videos and stuff that I share. Max loves it. And Cops are 5150, thank you. And Dope Sick Foundation, guys, make sure to like and subscribe to Dope Sick Foundation. Ricky and Max, he showed up yesterday on my show, and he said that I inspired him to go back to school and get his JD and pursue a degree. And that really that touched me, that I was able to help somebody get inspired to make their life better. And that's what my show is really all about, guys. Remember, I slept on park benches. I had a limousine company. I was Rodney Dangerfield's driver. I sold that company and put that money in savings and slept on park benches, lived at the Yes Center in Venice Beach, did whatever I had to do to survive. And then ultimately I found lawyers to study law under. And by the time I got my bar card, I was making over 15 grand a month doing paralegal work for those same lawyers. And so I was already making real money by the time I was an attorney. So the idea is not to brag, but to inspire you guys. A short little dude who got honorably discharged medically from the Marine Corps and had a bunch of businesses, was never happy with his life, found a way to do it, do or die. And I never complained about being oppressed or being a victim. I just said, I'm going to do it and make it happen. And so guys like Max and guys like Ricky, you guys know where I'm coming from. Dope Sick Foundation also got inspired by that. And so and then we have Mama Lion, our female audience member. I want to thank her for showing up. And Bill Bobirds, thank you for the super chats and helping support the channel. Brick Jonesy, as always. Brick Jonesy is one of my best homies in the world. And then in Wolfier from England, merry old England. I love having you, brother. Thank you for helping us with the Magna Carta and all the ideas from John Locke that have ultimately helped us break free from the evil king and the royal family, which I'm sure you'd love to break free from now. And Joanna Phillips, Denny Kitch, all you guys, thank you so much for supporting my channel. I know there's other people that I want to give love to, but it's just too much. But if you guys can see in the sidebar there in the regular YouTube, I finally got chevrons for my channel members. So that means they're private first classes. They graduated from boot camp. So Ricky, do you have anything you want to say in closing to the audience?
No, thanks for interacting, guys. That was a fun one. I was learning a lot too as well. So I hope we can do this again. That was fun, man.
Absolutely, brother. We're going to do it. And then Max, you want to say any goodbyes?
You know what? Thanks for tuning in. And you know what? Thanks for letting me join last minute, even though, that's all I could do to make it today.
Brother, you're always welcome. And now, guys, in closing, make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save, because we never know when the thought police are going to take down this channel. And they're trying to. They already tried it once. So make sure to like and subscribe. Make sure to save and press that little save square button. That really helps with the algorithm. It makes YouTube think I have a great channel. So press that save for later button. That's the #1 thing you can do to support me besides your monetary contributions. And remember this more than anything, guys. Always stay Semper Fi and do or die.